Freya! The day has finally arrived. I'm so excited I could pop. We've waited all this time, but the day is here. It's like a dream. I can't wait to move into the new house. It's a dream come true. No more run-down old place. Oh, sure, there are a lot of memories in this old place, and if the walls could talk, they'd never shut up. But let's get out and start fresh.
It really has reached the end, hasn't it? It had a good life, I suppose. Lots of happy times over the years. Mikey seems to have mixed feelings. Sometimes he speaks really fondly of the old place, but other times he can't wait to get out. The other day, he even said he wanted to set it on fire and watch it burn. He wouldn't explain any more than that.
Indeed. Over 60 years. It served us well. I suppose a tiny part of me is going to miss the old place, but onwards and upwards. I certainly didn't want to die here, that's for sure. But it was getting to be too much. And I'm not getting any younger. I can't keep trying to fill draft gaps and holes in the roof. And don't get me started on the mold. Some of the walls are more mold than wall. Actually, we've boarded up one of the rooms. Nobody has been in there for years. I think the mold and insects have taken over completely.
I guess. I didn't grow up there, but I could always feel the love there.
But that's enough of that. No more freezing cold, horrible old house.
I'm glad you're happy. I can't wait either. Your enthusiasm is what has spurred things along.
It's been 3 long years in the making. Oh, I wish my dear husband could be here to see this day. God rest his soul. He would be thrilled to see that I am going to live out the rest of my days in comfort. The hot water boiler broke back in 2021, and I've been going to the YMCA down the road for a shower ever since. I thought about fixing it, but it was going to be so expensive. In the end, we just decided to wait until the new place was built.
I didn't know that. Wow, you really roughed it for a while there. Well, your patience has finally paid off.
Yes. The worst part was all the mindless flattery. It was a constant stress, like putting on a lead mask each day. I think it's to blame for all my gray hair.
You what? I don't think I quite understand what you were saying. What flattery?
All that pretending to care about you. It made my stomach turn sometimes. After you went to work in the morning, I'd often need a big glass of whiskey and to lie down just to calm my nerves.
Am I reading that right? I made you sick? Is that what you were saying?
Yes. Good God, I deserve an Oscar, or at least a Tony. Mikey would get Best Supporting Actor, I'm sure.
I don't follow you. Are you saying that you have been pretending to like me all this time?
Well, it's perfectly simple. In order for you and Mikey to build a new house, I needed you to work as hard as possible. All that overtime you did. I didn't want one of you to suddenly need to take time off from work due to stress. So I worked extra hard to keep your spirits up. It was tough going. Always having to pretend to be sympathetic. I was exhausted most of the time, but it was worth it. I didn't really give a damn about how you were feeling. I just didn't want you to take your eyes off the prize.
Just exactly what are you saying? All the kindness? All the friendship was all a lie?
The first time I saw you, I was speechless. You were nothing like I had imagined. When Mikey told me you weren't like all his other girls, I thought he must have outdone himself and met Miss California or something. You should have seen the long line of girlfriends he had all the way back to middle school. They were all the most beautiful in their class. As Mikey got older, it was clear he had a very magnetic personality. Not to mention that gorgeous face. Did you know that he did quite a bit of modeling when he was younger? I wondered what on earth attracted you to my son. I wondered why he had chosen someone so unattractive.
But you were all for the wedding. You welcomed me into your family with what felt like at the time open arms. That's what Mikey told me anyway. I was thrilled to hear it, and from then on, you and I got on really well, I thought. People I know have had terrible experience with their mothers-in-law, but I remember thinking that I had really lucked out.
The first time you came to meet me, I was left shocked. I asked Mikey. I said, "Why do you want to marry such an ugly girl?" Lex takes after me. He is such a good-looking young man. I expected him to marry a beautiful young thing. He had the pick of the girls in high school. So you can imagine I was against the whole thing at the start. I was horrified at the thought of granddaughters who looked like you. But do you know what he told me? What put my mind at ease? He said you had a great job as a web designer and made a lot of money. And with your amazing salary, we could set our sights higher than a mere renovation of the old place and buy a whole new house. When I heard that, it was clear. I would have to just suck it up and pretend to be nice to you. He really is such a clever boy. And very giving, self-sacrificing. The perfect son, really.
But you said you were thrilled to have such a great daughter-in-law. I thought we had really bonded. You were so kind to me. Like the mother I never had.
Yes, I did. I am. Some blonde bimbo who is all legs and chest might have been nicer for Mikey, but he's never been one to put himself first. He's always thinking of his family first and foremost. So when he told me how much you make, I was thrilled. Houses aren't cheap. I certainly didn't want to couldn't have lived in that old place.
So that's why you were kind to me? It was all an act?
Yes. I did a good job too, if I do say so myself. I think I missed my true calling. I could have been the next Meg Ryan.
I thought you were genuine. Since my parents died, I came to think of you as a real mother. I was hoping it would always be like this. That's why I had no objection to you living with us. Most of my friends thought I was insane when I told them. But I assured them that you weren't like the mothers-in-law that make headlines for being terrible. I felt that if something happened to any of us, including you, that as long as we had family, we'd be okay.
Oh, gross. Even if I was on my deathbed, I wouldn't want you nursing me. Florence Nightmare on Elm Street. You'd push me over the edge. I'd look up at your face and pray for a swift death.
I don't know what to say. I was really looking forward to seeing how happy you were when we moved into the new place.
You let a little bit of kindness, fake, go to your head. Couldn't you hear me retching my guts out in the bathroom? That was what being nice to you did. I was a physical wreck.
I heard you. Of course I did. But I just thought perhaps you smoked a lot when you were younger and that this was your way of expelling what was left in your lungs. But I really appreciated your support those times when I had to work until late. And Mikey made dinner for me.
Of course I supported you. I wanted you to make as much money as possible. I didn't want to stay in that place a minute longer. I wanted to get the hell out of that old trash heap of a place ASAP. I woke up with a pool of water next to my head yesterday. I was still half asleep and thought my brains had leaked out onto the pillow. I got up just in time before a water-soaked piece of the roof came crashing down.
So it was all just part of a plan to get me to buy a nice new house. You never liked me. The thought never occurred to me that you might have an ulterior motive.
Ignorance is bliss, as they say.
You could have just let me go on being ignorant. Why did you have to tell me today? I didn't need to know the truth. If you hadn't told me, we might have become real friends in the end. You might have started to like me. I'm not that bad, am I?
You really are a total fool, aren't you? There is no in the end.
What do you mean?
The house is finally built. I'm not playing nice a minute longer. The act ends now. I really wanted to give you a piece of my mind so many times over the years. But I kept my mouth shut and smiled and thought up nice things to say to you. All the while, I wanted to bash your head in with a roof tile. I just bit my tongue and bided my time. But we can finally say goodbye.
I don't get it. You aren't coming to live with us then? That was always the plan, wasn't it?
No, idiot. You are the one who isn't coming. I have handed in divorce papers.
Whose?
Who else? Do try and keep up. How can you be so clever at web design and yet so slow otherwise? Yours and Mikey's, of course.
What? I don't think you can even do that without my permission.
Yes. Now that the house is built, there's no need to keep up the facade. You are no longer required to be part of this family. There's no way I'm living in a house where I have to see your face every day. I don't want to catch ugly. It'll be the death of me. And you'll be doing a service to society if you never have children. A face like that shouldn't be passed on to the next generation. But hey, if you ever lose your job, you could always work at the cookie factory using your face to stamp the gorilla biscuits. This is for the best. It's a mother's duty to ensure the happiness of her children. Mikey deserves to settle down with someone more easy on the eye.
Regardless of what Mikey thinks, you can't just file for divorce on behalf of someone, especially someone who has no idea you are doing it. Has Mikey agreed to it? Did you even talk to him about it?
I know my son better than anyone. Better than Mikey himself. I know what's best. Don't you go meddling in his happiness. And you better start looking for somewhere to live. The new place is just for Mikey and me. Goodbye. Have you finished packing?
I've been trying to get hold of you for hours. Where have you been?
Oh, I was dead beat, so I took a nap. Sorry.
Your mother.
Yeah, I just talked to her.
You talked to her? And?
She sure moves fast. She said she'd already taken the divorce papers into City Hall.
What? You knew about it?
Yeah. What's the big deal? I was going to do it anyway. She just beat me to it.
I don't follow you.
Whatever she said.
Mikey?
The house is built. Your role has been completed. That's all there is to it.
So it's just as she said? You only married me to bankroll a new house and now I'm no longer needed? What kind of a Norman Bates-style relationship do you have with her?
We knew we couldn't live in the house my grandfather built for much longer. You've seen it. It's falling down. When I heard how much our company's new web designer was making, I hatched the plan. I figured if we got married, we could build a nice place.
So that's why you went out of your way to meet me?
Yep. A single woman with all that money. Just going to waste, I thought. When I first saw you, I was taken aback by how ugly you were, but I thought, hey, I can put up with it for a new house. People throughout history have done more for less.
Most meetings are done online. I just thought you were a true gentleman, coming across town to meet me personally. So it was all lies? Just acting so I would build you a nice new house?
Yes, pretty much. It was going to cost a fortune to renovate. I just thought marrying you would kill two birds with one stone. I wouldn't need to spend a dime and we'd get a brand new place to live. Brilliant, if I do say so myself. Reno or new. Either way, I would have had to have taken out one of those super long loans. And then you honed into view.
When I told you I wouldn't be able to do any housework or anything during peak work times and you offered to quit and become a full-time house husband, I thought you were doing it to support me. I thought you were a genuinely nice guy who had my best interests at heart. It turns out you're a sociopath and I'm the victim in all this.
You really are a blind optimist, aren't you? Some would say an idiot. My mother is convinced you are borderline mentally retarded. You just worked on, oblivious. Well, thanks to you, I have a house, but no loan. I really should say thank you. It was awfully nice of you. Gullible, but nice.
But the house is in my name. You know that, right?
Don't you understand even basic concepts? Whatever possessions we have at the time of divorce have to be split in half. Jesus, everyone knows that.
But it was my money that paid for it all.
Yeah, but who was it that looked after you and did all the cooking and cleaning so that you could take on extra work? All those extra contracts you were able to accept were possible because I was doing everything you couldn't. I did everything without so much as a word of objection. So, as a house husband, I'm entitled to half of everything we share.
I don't know about that. I'll look into it. I still keep in touch with the lawyer who oversaw the management of my parents' estate after they died.
Well, I'll tell you what I know. You have enough cash in the bank to buy another house. So whether it's the house or the money, I don't mind. I'll settle for either.
You've thought this all through, haven't you? It sounds like a master plan.
Hell yes. I've had the whole thing planned since the architect drew up the first rough plan of the house. Did you think I really wanted you as a wife? Who could stomach such a face? Damn. Sometimes when you were asleep next to me, I would stare at the ceiling wondering why I was punishing myself so hard. I've been through hell. Once, when you fell asleep on top of my arm, I contemplated cutting it off and escaping out the window.
But you haven't told your mother that you quit your job, have you? She still doesn't know, right? What will she say when she learns you don't have a steady income anymore? Even if you have a house, it's not all easy from there on.
That's not a problem. Mommy has enough money saved up.
Really? And yet she didn't mention this at all when we were building the house.
The insurance from when Dad passed away and his retirement money. And Social Security money, too. We'll be fine. It's more than enough to live on. I'll find another job if need be. Until then, I think I'll just take a break and relax.
Sounds like you don't have a thing to worry about. Did you consult a lawyer, or did you just figure this all out by yourself? I'm guessing it was just you. I know you wouldn't have wanted to spend any money on legal advice.
Yeah, 'cause I'm smart. I also thought that maybe we could have had it so you could continue to work if I continued to support you. But I didn't want to keep doing all the housework anymore. That would have driven me to an early grave. But anyway, as Mommy says, a guy like me stuck with a gal like you forever is just a tragedy.
Did you have to say that? Your mother and you have no thought for the feelings of others, do you?
Well, it's the truth, whichever way you look at it. And the papers have been filed anyway. From today, you and I are just two people who used to be married.
Where are you at the moment, Audrey?
Where? What do you mean, where? I'm at home. Where else would I be? What do you want? I don't think we have any more to talk about. If you want to quibble over the things that are left, then that is up to you and Mikey. I don't want any more to do with you.
I'm texting you to tell you I'd like you to vacate that house. And please don't take too long doing it.
What the hell are you talking about? I'm not leaving this house. Have you lost your mind?
But the thing is, it's my house. I paid for every last cent of it.
Yes, the house is in your name. I've heard all this. But in the settlement, Mikey will get half of everything and he should be the one to get the house. The court will look favorably on him as he has a mother to care for. Actually, I don't mind whichever. A big cash settlement is just as satisfactory.
But you have a lot of money. Mikey says you got big payments from your late husband's insurance, as well as his retirement fund. That and Social Security, and you're sitting on more than enough.
I have no idea what you are referring to. I get a small amount from the government every month, but it's hardly enough to enjoy life.
Mikey told me. You can't deny it.
The boy is exaggerating, of course. After the funeral fees and cost of repairs to this house, there is hardly a penny left. But Mikey is well paid, so I think we'll be all right.
Oh, so he hasn't told you then?
Told me what? Come on, spit it out.
Mikey doesn't work. He hasn't had a job since we got married. He's a stay-at-home husband. He decided to quit to support me. He learned to cook and even figured out how to use the vacuum cleaner. He's smart like that.
Don't you make fun of my beautiful boy. The sacrifices he made for his mother. He's a good and honorable young man.
You can think what you want, but if you're counting on a salary, you'd better count again.
A stay-at-home husband? I'm not familiar with the term. You mean he works from home?
No. Home is his work. He actually put a bit of time into learning how to cook. He actually makes a half-decent carbonara.
That's a lie.
It is 100% true.
Well, why would he do that? Did you force him to quit work and become your slave?
Not at all. It was his idea. He decided to do it in order to support me. Or so he said. He did a pretty good job, to be honest. Cooking and cleaning. In between video games, but I come home to a clean house and dinner.
What the hell was he thinking?
Right? That's what I thought at the start. But it turns out he was fired and couldn't face the shame of telling you. I guess he felt worthless and embarrassed.
Why was he fired? He told me he was practically running the place.
He just kept making mistakes, and he lost the confidence of a major client. They canceled their contract and moved on to the competition. The boss had to fire him in order to appease the client. They wanted blood. But it wasn't just that. His whole attitude towards working has been getting worse. Once and only once, when he was really drunk, he told me that he didn't think there was any point working hard when his wife was making so much more money. I guess he felt inadequate. Which is silly, really, because he knew what I earned, and that's the reason you two came up with the plan to extort a house out of me.
I see.
So I just accepted it. He was good at cooking and cleaning, and I was never one of those conservative, good old-fashioned family values types. I've never thought men should work and women should be at home. So that's how it was for a while. I didn't ask him about getting a job. Never nagged him like most wives would probably have done. It was good while it lasted. Until the house was finished and you revealed your true feelings and intentions.
So, Mikey has no form of income?
Not a dime. And I doubt he has any savings. He told me he was counting on you and the money you got from the insurance policy your late husband had.
Well, that money is meant to last me until the end of my days. He can keep his grabbing little hands well away from it.
I'm just telling you what he said.
It's not like there is much left anyway. I've spent most of it. When he married you, I thought I'd never have to worry about money again. We no longer need money to renovate the house. I spent most of the money from my husband's insurance and the retirement fund. Mikey had a reasonable salary. With my Social Security, it would have been enough. If I had known he hadn't been working all these years, I wouldn't have taken all those Mediterranean cruises.
So it's all gone?
Most of it, yes. It was my money. I thought everything was taken care of. I thought I could spend it and enjoy the rest of my life. Mikey's father wasn't a very fun-loving man. We never traveled much. When he died, I thought I could finally see the world and live my life. Don't get me wrong, he was a wonderful man, but he was always too busy with work. I sometimes wonder if that's the reason we only ever had one child. He just wasn't interested. So I traveled the world to make up for all the experiences I didn't have while married. I hiked the Andes. I surfed Malibu. I went to New Zealand. I swam in the Arctic. I did a shark cage dive off Cape Town. I made love to a Venetian gondolier.
Audrey, stop there. I'm in danger of thinking you are a nice person again.
I did almost everything on most people's bucket lists.
I could have joined you. I have the freedom and money to have taken you anywhere. We could have made a whole new list and checked them off, one by one, together.
Oh, good Lord, no thank you. I'd rather stay at home staring at a blank wall than have to look at your depressing face for weeks on end. It's bad enough living with you and having to see you in the mornings. Thankfully, I was always in bed before you got home. I don't think I could have dealt with seeing you morning and night.
Thank you for your honesty, I guess. It makes the next steps easier. So, you spent all the money on yourself. That's the gist of what you were saying. I noticed you bought a hell of a lot of Louis Vuitton stuff. I wondered how the money could have lasted so long, but it was nothing to do with me. Not my money. But I am left wondering why, if you had that much money, did you agree to let Mikey marry me and pay for a house? You could have bought it yourself. You actually could have bought a block of apartments, lived in one, and funded your extravagant lifestyle with the rent. But you didn't, did you? Was it just pure greed? All along, your whole plan hinged on having my income to support you while you burned through your own savings as you pleased.
But now what are we supposed to do? More importantly, what am I supposed to do? Even with a house, I'm penniless. I won't be able to afford the tax or anything for upkeep. That good-for-nothing son of mine doesn't have a penny to his name either.
Even with a house? You don't have a house. Oh, yes, you do. That falling down old place. That should keep the rain off your head for another few years. Partially, anyway.
We can't live there. It's a hellhole. At night, the cockroaches come out, and then lizards race about on the ceiling trying to eat them. It's terrifying. The new place is mine. I've put in so much effort. I'm not giving it up.
Actually, yesterday I talked to my lawyer friend. You might be interested to hear what he had to say. We had a long talk about the division of assets in the case of divorce. It turns out my lawyer's friend's area of expertise is exactly that. Coincidence, to say the least.
Yes, and? Mikey gets the house, right? After all his hard work supporting you.
The first thing he told me to do was check that the divorce papers had been correctly filed. Far be it for me to doubt you, but, well, you know, I felt obligated to check for myself. So I headed down to City Hall.
You won't have found any mistakes there. I double-checked everything. I took them in myself and handed them to the guy at the desk.
Indeed. It turns out that in the case of divorce, especially in the case of divorce, the papers can't be filed on someone's behalf. At least, not without the consent of both parties. In cases such as this one, where one of the parties was completely unaware of their filing, the party who did file them could very well be charged with forgery.
What? So you're going to call the police?
I'm still thinking about the best action to take.
I knew it. I knew you were bad news from the second I laid eyes on you. You've got a nasty, vicious streak.
Right. Anyway, I was told that the divorce papers weren't legally binding, and they gave them back to me. I had no intention of overturning the divorce, if it turned out that it was legal.
So you are divorced?
Yes and no.
Hurry up. Just spit it out.
It turns out we were never legally married in the first place. Fancy that.
What?
Yep. When the guy on the marriage and divorce desk told me the marriage license had never been filed, I was so happy I fist bumped and high-fived the security guard. He reached for his nightstick thinking I was a nutcase.
How on earth? What does this mean?
It means we were never married. I'm not married to Mikey and never have been. So I can't get divorced if I was never married.
But you did get married. I was there. I remember trying not to vomit when I saw how hideous you looked next to my beautiful Mikey.
That's what I thought too. But never legally.
I remember thinking to myself that if you can't look even a little presentable on your wedding day, then there was no hope for you. I'm just so glad you didn't have any disgusting little grandchildren.
On the day you handed in the divorce papers, you just gave them to the guy and then left, right? You didn't stick around for him to check everything. He wanted to tell you, but you'd gone.
I have no idea what you are talking about. You were married. I was at the damn wedding. You handed in the wedding papers to the registry office, right?
Yes, but there was something wrong with the filing. Mikey didn't sign in the right place of including his middle name. Because of that, it was never legally binding. The guy on the license desk said they had sent 2 separate notices to Mikey. He even showed me the computer records. But Mikey would often just throw things like that into the trash thinking they were bills. Must have missed them. So it was never rectified. The more Mikey did around the house, the more I let him. So we never knew.
All because that idiot didn't write his full name.
Yeah, I guess. It had to be the same name as on his driver's license or passport. He just forgot. We went into the registrar's office after the ceremony, remember? He was hammered drunk by then. I had had a few myself. So we never noticed the letters. It was never fixed. Here we are. What a great result. Not what you were hoping for, huh?
So you were never married?
Yep. You can't imagine the feeling of freedom.
So what happens to the house and the money?
Absolutely nothing. My lawyer assures me I don't have to split anything with Mikey. The whole marriage was an attempt to extort a house out of me. And I've got all the evidence I need right here in these text messages. You and your scheming son aren't getting a cent. What's mine is mine. Hard-earned and paid for 100% by me. You got it? Your plan has come to nothing. I hope you and Mikey are very happy in that old house you both grew up in.
So we don't get a new house?
Exactly. You get nothing. Now get out of my house. If you don't get out, I'll call the police and have them remove you for trespassing.
You wouldn't.
Go back to your own place. While it's still standing. You're lucky you even have a house. Oh, speaking of that pile of rubbish. I was driving past just this morning and I noticed a new crack in the wall under the window. Looks like kids have smashed a few windows too. Might be a bit of a cleanup job required. Not that you can really do much with such a horrible old place.
No way! I can't go back to living in such a dump. Can't we work something out? I'll tell Mikey he has to find another job. Don't make me go back there. I'll die. It's too cold and damp.
It's got nothing to do with me anymore. You won't get another cent of my money, and I'm almost done spending any more time on you.
I'll adopt you. How about that? You don't have any parents. I don't have any children. We'd make a great pair. Mom and daughter, traveling the world.
You don't have any children? You've really lost it, haven't you? What about Mikey?
I'll disown him. That useless bum has no means to support his poor mother. He's no son of mine. What do you say, Freya? You and me? It'll be great, you'll see. We'll look after each other. In this house, it will really be home sweet home for the both of us. We always got along fine, didn't we? I'm sorry about all the mean things I said. It wasn't me. It was all Mikey's idea. It was his plan to marry you and get you to buy a house. I was against it. I said, you shouldn't be taking advantage of such a nice young lady, but he wouldn't listen to a word of it. He just kept talking about his master plan. He's an evil man. He's always been evil and lazy. I can't believe he is my own flesh and blood.
To be honest, before all this happened, I would have been happy to be your daughter. I genuinely liked you. I thought the feeling was mutual.
Don't say that. You're the daughter I never had. I'll be the best mother you could imagine. We'll be a great team. You'll see. Just let me adopt you and stay in this house.
You creep me out. I've seen the true Audrey, and it has a heart as black and cold as coal. Now get the hell out of my house! I never want to see the pair of you ever again.
I'm sorry, Freya. Please forgive me. It wasn't me. It was all Mikey. He's the one who hatched the plot to take your money. He's a lazy, good-for-nothing punk. He was fired, right? See? He's a terrible human being. I'll never speak to him again. I promise. Just let me stay here. Please. I'll do all the cooking and cleaning that Mikey used to do. We can throw him out. He's no good for you. I can see it now. We'll find you a new young man with a good job. Freya, please let me stay. You and me. It will be perfect.
One good thing that came out of this, at least I'm not legally a divorcee. The phone calls from both Audrey and Mikey kept coming day and night, begging me to reconsider. They were in a bad situation, that's for sure. He was planning on money from his father's insurance, and she was planning on money from his salary. But I was beyond feeling anything but anger towards them. One thing that completely baffles me is how Audrey let everything slip. I really can't understand why she didn't just keep pretending. She was such a good actor. I probably never would have been any wiser. Mikey and I would probably have divorced in the near future anyway, but Audrey could have stayed on. I just don't get it. Even after I blocked them, I'd see them wandering aimlessly around my neighborhood. They even made up all kinds of stories and excuses to try and come and live with me. The best one was Mikey telling me Audrey was taken to hospital for kidney failure and needed a place to live out her final days. He made the mistake of telling me the name of the hospital, though. A quick call revealed that it was a kidney stone and not a life-threatening condition at all. In the end, I called the cops. I also got a restraining order. I was so sick of them. They even spent a few nights in the county lockup for disturbing the peace. Then I stopped hearing from them. My lawyer tells me he's heard from a friend that they were in so much debt that they had to do a runner, and no one has heard from them since. As for me, I'm even busier and richer than ever in my beautiful new house. It's kinda got an empty feeling. I might get a dog and call him Mikey. But maybe I won't. Bye! Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment. Bye!